Hello once again, this is James Roughton, and welcome to my Safety Culture series. In my last video, I talked about establishing clear goals and assigning responsibilities. In today's session, I want to talk a little bit about what happens when you start to develop a new management safety system. As the management system is being developed and the employees acquire new skills and start to change behavior patterns, there should be minimal or no consequences for poor performance. In this case, you must use positive reinforcement during the initial phase of performance evaluation. In this way, you will encourage everyone to do what is right and to be recognized. Although the ultimate goal of any accountability system should be to develop a sense of individual accountability for their actions, everyone must understand that there still can be negative consequences for poor performance. As consequences reinforce the importance of meeting stated objectives. The key is to ensure that each manager and supervisor understands when the consequences will occur and will not abuse the system without complete knowledge of the situation at hand. There should be no surprises to anyone. However, it is important that consequences be appropriate to the situation. For example, if you terminate a supervisor for their first poorly conducted injury investigation is an obvious example of overreacting to a problem or a situation. Gradually, the consequences of poor performance should be increased to some specific maximum severity. What about an employee that gets hurt on the job? In many cases, the first reaction is by some level of management. Let's fire the employee for not following procedures. Here's another case of overreaction without the proper facts at hand. And in a real safety culture, you must do the investigation, understand the consequences, and look at the end result. The consequences should match the infraction, but in my experience, this rarely occurs, as sometimes during the investigation, it is usually determined that the employee did not have the correct tools or resources, and thereby an injury occurred. So with that said, take a hard look at your management system to see what actually failed before considering any kind of discipline. And if the end result does require some discipline, then it should be taken. The bottom line is, do not assume that there should be negative consequences before understanding the situation. Let's talk a little bit about defining accountability. And we briefly talked about some of these elements in a previous video. Dan Petersen once said, most supervisors today know that they are responsible for safety and they know what they should be doing, yet they do not do it. And the question is why? Because typically they are not usually held accountable for their actions. The bottom line is that accountability is nothing if you cannot measure what you have established. To hold someone accountable, you must know if they are performing their tasks properly. To understand these accomplishments, you must first measure their performance. And without measuring this performance, the fact is that accountability becomes an empty, meaningless, unenforceable concept. As the single most important fact in understanding true management accountability, we are really talking about a better way to measure the management of safety in a more effective manner. And before I conclude this video, I discuss some concepts of a new safety management system. We defined accountability very briefly and provided a few examples of potential performance issues. In my next video, I will briefly provide some thoughts on how to measure the new safety management system. Thank you for listening to this video. I wish you continued success in your journey. For more details, visit my website, safetycultureplus.com, and follow me on YouTube to ensure that you get the latest videos.